So, your Claude Code changed brains on you, and nobody sent the memo. Opus 5 has been the default for a while now. They just flipped it, no email, no pop-up, nothing. And the dirty secret isn't what this model can do. It's what it's been doing to your limits the whole time you weren't looking. Let's get into it. Okay, so quick recap of what actually shipped, because the announcement was pure victory lap. Opus 5 is the default on Macs now. It's the strongest thing you can run on Pro. The coding's supposedly right up there with the big Frontier brain at way less cost. There's a context window big enough to swallow your whole project, and a fast mode sitting on top of all of it as its own paid tier. And every bench they threw at it got crushed, they claim. Look, I've sat through a lot of these launches at this point, and the pitch never changes. They sell you the capability. They never sell you the economics. And here's the thing. Every video about this drop is benchmarks and hype, and nobody's answering the only question that matters when you're the one paying the subscription. My plan changed underneath me. So what does that actually do to my week? Because that's the part that never makes the changelog. Defaults are silent, no email, no pop-up, no heads up. One day your sessions are just running a different model. The picker looks the same, the chat feels the same, and unless you went digging, you'd never know the swap already happened to you. And honestly, I didn't clock it right away either. I noticed the week felt different before I noticed the model did, which is kind of the scary part. And I'll go as far as to say this. Most people treat the default like a recommendation, and it's not. It's a decision somebody else made about your subscription. And I don't think it's sinister. Okay, actually, maybe a little. No, look, quiet default swap is just the cheapest upgrade rollout ever shipped. Everybody gets the new model, nobody agreed to anything, and whatever it does to your burn rate is your problem to discover on your own. And I get how they got here, I do. But you've probably felt this without naming it that week where the runway felt shorter and you couldn't point at why. Yeah, there's a reason for that. So the dirty secret isn't a bug and it isn't some conspiracy. It's that the meter changed when the model did, and the only way to find out was to live in it. Which, yeah, is exactly what I did. Just real quick, I'm Daniel, 10 plus years building for iOS, freelancing first. Ended up at glassfi.io, and after dub 25, I burned the boats and went all in on solo dev. 50 plus apps of my own shipped since then, every one of them built in public. And these days, everything I figure out the hard way, the setups, the agents, the stuff that broke on me so it never has to break on you. It all ends up in Crafter's Lab. And let's be real about what that is. It's not a tutorial site. It's not an AI clone farm. It's a live workshop. You're not watching recordings of the workshop. You're standing in it. My Slack, my Notion, the agents I run every day, all of it live. It's for solo devs who use AI like a teammate, not a vending machine. And hey, if you're still hanging on over at Patreon, huge thanks, honestly. But everything's moved to crafterslab.dev now. Come be part of the crew. Okay, so the actual test, because I don't do benchmarks, I do Tuesdays. Same real work on both models. A SwiftUI feature I've been building. My agents.md loaded. The whole project in context. None of that toy prompt stuff. Real app code with a deadline on it. And I'll give the model its win first, because it earned one. The giant context window is real. The agent held the whole feature, plus my notes. Without drifting, the gnarly refactor went down with way fewer wrong turns. And the first pass on fresh code is, not gonna lie, stupid fast. If all you did was read the changelog, you'd stop right there and call it a free upgrade. Well, it's not free. And this is where the dirty secret actually lives, because the window changes your behavior before it ever changes your bill. When the agent can hold everything, you stop curating anything. I caught myself dumping entire files in that the old model never even saw. And why not? It fits, right? Except every token you stuff in rides along on every single turn after it, and fat context turns burn way harder from the same weekly pool. So the model didn't nuke my limits. I did, happily, one lazy paste at a time. It fell over on me midweek in a way it hadn't in a while, and I pulled up the usage page and just sat there like, oh no, that's me, I'm the leak. And then fast mode, oh boy, build separate, real money, and it's exactly the kind of toggle you flip once for a deadline, and then it's just on forever. quietly spending at a premium rate while you're vibe coding a settings screen. And I genuinely don't know yet whether the efficiency cancels the cost. Part of me thinks obviously yes, fewer turns, less babysitting. And then I look at the meter and I go, I don't know. Ask me after a couple more weeks of living in it. So here's where I've landed. And this part you can straight up steal because none of it needs a new tool. First, and I mean actually do this, like tonight, open your settings and look at what your default model is right now. Not what you think it is, what it is. Funny enough, half the solo devs I've talked to about this drop had no clue. The swap already happened to them, and that's kind of the whole video in one sentence. Then, treat the giant window like a budget, not a bucket. Curate what goes in, even though you don't have to anymore. Hand the agent the files that matter, not the whole folder, because everything you stuff in rides along for the rest of the session and keeps pulling from the same pool the whole way down. The window being huge is a reason to be pickier, not lazier. And yeah, I learned that one the annoying way. And fast mode? Deadline tool, not a personality. Flip it when the clock's real, flip it back the second it isn't, because leaving it on is just a subscription to paying extra. And the rule itself, in one line, the big brain gets judgment work, the gnarly refactor, the architecture call. The cheap fast one gets the grind, the renames, the boilerplate, the test scaffolding. And fast mode only comes out when something's genuinely on fire. That's it. That's the whole system. If you caught my video on session limits, the batching move from that one matters more now, not less. Bigger headroom just means scattered work takes longer to hit the wall. And yeah, I've got this written up as a living doc in the lab that gets updated every time a model drops because the routing never survives contact with the next launch. What I'm still chewing on, and I'll be honest, I haven't cracked it, is whether per task routing even survives where this is all going because the models keep getting better at the grind stuff too. I've landed somewhere for now. I'm just not sure it's right forever. Where do you land on this? Because I've got my answer for me. And I'm way less sure it's the answer for everyone. So, yeah, if you're still here, honestly, you're a legend. And pulling it together, the dirty secret was never that Opus 5 is bad. The model's fine. It's genuinely good. It earned the default. And the secret is that no default is neutral. The tools keep getting better and cheaper at the exact same time. They get better at spending for you. And the solo dev who watches the meter keeps the runway. That's the whole edge right now. And flip it around, your agent holding an entire project in its head on a plan you already pay for. What a time to be building. The meter is just part of the craft now, same as the code. And if you actually want to go deeper on any of this, come check out crafterslab.dev. Built the whole thing myself. It grew way faster than I planned. And yeah, there's corners of it I still haven't tidied up. It is what it is. But it runs no matter what you're on. Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, whatever ships next. It's not a tutorial dump. It's not another one of those AI clone farms. It's a live workshop. I made it for solo devs who treat AI like an actual teammate, not just a button you smash when you're stuck. The core of it is the Notion side. There's SwiftBrain, the Swift and SwiftUI vault I feed by hand. There's the playbook, the command center my whole AI team works out of. But the one I want to walk you through today is Ops Lab, because after a video like this one, it's the relevant corner. It's not really a folder of files. It's more like a library of my teammates. There's Marshall, who routes the work and keeps the whole loop supervised. There's Shipper, my PM, writes the briefs, drops the research. There's Agent Swift Pro doing the Swift work. I didn't hire any of them. I wrote them. And that routing rule from this video, that lives in there as agent instructions. So your crew makes the same judgment calls mine does. Yeah, straight up. There's a good bit in there I'd do completely differently now. And I left it because every real change lands as a new dated version linked back to the old one. Watching it move is kind of the point. Pull it in, copy it, tweak it, totally break it, make it yours. And honestly, most of what's shipped lately, I didn't even write. The PM wrote the brief, the builder shipped it, I read the session notes and stayed out of the way. So yeah, come build with us. You get the room, the crew, the agents, and somebody to swap notes with the moment. The thing you're building goes weird on you. Crew's still small. Prices move as it grows. Now's kind of the sweet spot. Feels way more like a behind the scenes dev lounge than some giant faceless forum. I'd love to see you in there. Swap some stories, maybe steal something from whatever you're building next. Keep crafting, keep an eye on the meter, and don't let a default make your decisions. Peace.